That which comes, let it come. That which goes, let it go. What remains, let it be. This ancient Zen teaching captures the very essence of all relationships, impermanent, transient, and often misunderstood as fate when in truth, they are tests of our attachment. Many spend years drowning in emotional storms trying to force permanence out of something that was only meant to pass through. But the wise observe. The wise read signs. The wise let go. The illusion that two people are destined to be together is often rooted in a deep longing for stability, love, and security. But not every connection is written in the karma of forever. Sometimes, two souls meet not to stay, but to teach. And the lesson may be one of suffering, silence, or solitude, but it is still sacred. The Buddha once taught that attachment is the root of all suffering. And often, in trying to keep someone who is not aligned with your path, you stray from your own. True peace comes not from clinging, but from seeing clearly the signs that show when a path has reached its end. Now let us begin the story. A silent journey where awareness unfolds not through loud declarations, but quiet signs, gentle, undeniable, and echoing the truth. If you were not meant to be together, you will see these signs. The arrival without harmony. He came like a season, unexpected, yet familiar. She responded like the earth, open, welcoming, and unsure of what would follow. In the beginning, it felt like the universe had orchestrated something divine. Words flowed like rivers. Eyes spoke without sentences. Presence felt sacred, yet, beneath the beauty of that first bloom, something was missing. Not in gestures, not in actions, but in essence. There was no stillness. The silence between them was not peaceful, it was hollow. The conversations, though frequent, often missed understanding. And each laugh carried a whisper of loneliness. 1. Silence feels empty, not full. Zen teaches that the truest connection is known not in words, but in the silence that surrounds them. When two souls are meant to walk together, their shared silence feels like home. It is soft, nourishing. But when two are misaligned, even silence becomes noisy with anxiety. You sit beside them, yet you wonder if you're alone. She began to notice this. Even in the deepest conversations, she felt unheard. Not because he wasn't listening, but because he couldn't see her essence. The soul can sense when it's standing in front of someone who doesn't truly see it. The Dharma whispers, if you are forcing connection, you are breaking your own peace. 2. When time exposes what chemistry concealed. In Zen, it is said, when the fog of passion fades, truth begins to speak. And so it was, days turned to months. Familiarity grew. Yet instead of deeper unity, there came more misalignment. What once was accepted as difference now became conflict. What once felt like compromise now felt like sacrifice. Effort feels like struggle, not devotion. When you are meant to walk together, effort feels natural. You give not to earn, but because love flows from your being. But in misaligned unions, effort feels like a transaction. You give and expect. You adjust and lose yourself. You suppress and feel unseen. He asked her to change, in ways that made her shrink. She asked for understanding, and received logic instead of empathy. Arguments became patterns. Resolutions became pauses before the next conflict, and yet, she clung to the idea of them. Here, Zen urges stillness. Do not hold on to the image of what something could be, if it brings suffering in what it is. The mirror of the present. Time reveals. Not everything, but enough. One evening, she sat in front of him, watching his eyes drift from her gaze. He wasn't absent physically, but his presence had thinned. Words were spoken, but meaning was missing. He asked about her day out of duty. She smiled out of habit. 3. You feel more lonely with them than without them. Buddhism teaches that loneliness is not the absence of people, but the absence of connection. You can be surrounded and still feel forsaken. And sometimes, being with the wrong person deepens that feeling more than solitude ever could. She noticed that her laughter was now louder in his absence. Her peace more consistent when he was far. And when she cried, she stopped expecting comfort from him, because she knew it wouldn't come. Zen asks, if their presence adds weight, why are you afraid of their absence? The voice of the soul. The heart knows long before the mind accepts. One night, in meditation, she breathed deeply, letting the clutter of thought dissolve. In the stillness, a question arose, not in language, but in emotion. Why are you trying to stay in what no longer breathes life into you? 4. Your inner voice begins to speak louder than their words. In relationships misaligned with your path, the inner voice gets louder, not quieter. It questions more. It mourns silently. It becomes restless. And when that voice arises, it is not confusion, it is clarity trying to break through the layers of attachment. She sat in that awareness. She saw it all, how she ignored her intuition, how she mistaken comfort for love, how she feared starting over more than she feared dying slowly in something untrue. Zen reflects, the first betrayal is never from the other, but from the self that stays in what it knows is wrong. When you become the only one holding on. She began to notice something even deeper. He stopped trying. Not out of cruelty, but because he sensed the truth too. They were both rowing a boat in different directions. And the current between them was one of resistance, not flow. 5. One of you stops participating emotionally. In Dharma, connection is described as mutual giving, not equal but shared. When one becomes the gardener and the other only receives the bloom, the balance collapses. He no longer asked deep questions. She no longer expected him to. He no longer held space for her storms. She no longer shared them. The bond had thinned into routine. They were now actors playing roles in a script they no longer believed in. She realized, if I left today, he would not chase. And if he left, I would not beg. Zen says, when you must convince someone to stay, they have already gone. The quiet realization. The end didn't come with a fight. It came in the quietest way. A morning when she looked at him and felt nothing but peace. Not the peace of reunion, but the peace of release, no blame. No bitterness. Just understanding. 6. You finally feel peace at the thought of letting go. This is the truest sign. Not anger. Not sadness. But calm. The storm of emotions ends. The mind no longer asks, what if? The heart no longer pleads, please stay. Only clarity remains. Zen reminds us, enlightenment is the moment you no longer need them to be yours in order to be whole. She left, not because she hated him, but because she loved herself enough to stop hurting, and in walking away, she didn't break the bond. She completed it. What these signs truly mean. These signs are not punishments or tragedies. They are dharma in motion. Every misaligned connection is a mirror, revealing our wounds, our fears, and our strength. When we refuse to see, we suffer. But when we accept, we grow. To be not meant to be together does not mean failure. It means graduation. The lesson is complete. The soul is ready for its next chapter. Zen does not teach attachment. It teaches presence. And in presence, you see things as they are, not as you wish them to be, so when you notice, silence feels hollow. Effort feels like sacrifice. Presence deepens your loneliness, your inner voice grows louder, they've emotionally withdrawn, and you feel peace in letting go. Know this, it is not the death of love. It is the birth of truth, and in truth, there is always liberation. The silence that does not embrace. When the silence between two people is uncomfortable, it is the soul's whisper that something is missing. In Zen, the greatest measure of harmony is not in how well you speak, but in how well you exist in silence together. Silence in a true connection is like sacred still water, it reflects peace, comfort, and mutual understanding. But when silence becomes restless, awkward, or heavy, it signals a misalignment of spirits. Ask yourself, can you sit in stillness with them and feel more understood than when you speak? If not, the silence is no longer sacred. It becomes a quiet cry for help, an indicator that the depth of soul contact has never truly been made. So when the silence feels like a void instead of a sanctuary, do not rush to fill it with words. Observe it. Listen to what your heart says in that stillness. If it trembles, you must ask, why am I staying in a place that cannot hold my silence? True peace and love is not found in constant conversation, but in silent companionship. If even your silence is misunderstood, how then can your storms ever be? When love becomes laborious. When the connection starts to feel like a full-time job, love is no longer growing. It is enduring. In Buddhist practice, right effort is one of the Eightfold Paths. It teaches us to exert energy in ways that reduce suffering, not increase it. When a relationship demands you to constantly fix, prove, beg, or shrink, you are exerting effort not rooted in compassion, but in fear. Love that requires you to abandon your values to please another is not love. It is dependency. The Dharma does not ask you to fight endlessly to maintain attachment. It asks you to let go of suffering. If the effort you give never brings peace but only temporarily prevents chaos, it is not a union, it is a struggle. You were not meant to lose yourself in another to find love. You were meant to find someone who helps you become more of yourself, not less. So when love becomes laborious, reflect, is this the kind of work that nourishes me, or is it draining my spirit? The paradox of presence and loneliness. Loneliness is not cured by proximity, it is cured by connection. Zen monks meditate in solitude not because they fear others, but because in solitude they meet their truest self. Yet, paradoxically, one of the greatest forms of loneliness is not being physically alone, it is being emotionally neglected in someone else's company. When you feel more emotionally alive, seen, or at peace when the person is not around, your body is giving you a sacred sign. It is choosing freedom over false belonging. You may sleep beside someone and feel like you are in a different world. You may walk together, but inwardly feel like you're walking alone. These are not illusions. These are revelations. In Buddhism, sati, or mindfulness, teaches you to be aware of the truth as it is, not as you wish it to be. If your truth is that their presence isolates you more than their absence would, then your path is already pointing away. Loneliness is healed not by having someone, but by being with someone who truly feels you. If they cannot feel your heart when it is open, then they cannot hold your soul when it is breaking. The voice within will not lie. The most sacred teacher lives in your own chest. It is the quiet voice that never wavers. Zen teaches that intuition is not magic. It is not a mystery. It is the accumulated wisdom of your spirit, refined by awareness. And when that voice begins to grow louder than the words of the one you love, it is time to pay attention. That voice may begin as a whisper. It might say, "This doesn't feel right," or "You're not being seen." You might silence it with hope. You might drown it in busyness. But it persists. It does not leave, because it knows. To deny your inner voice is to abandon the only compass that truly knows your dharma. In the end, the truth that we try to avoid becomes the truth that sets us free. The longer you silence the wisdom within, the more suffering you will attract outside. So reflect, am I afraid to listen to this voice because it threatens the illusion I want to keep? Let the voice speak. Let it guide. It will never mislead you, not like the promises of someone who cannot see your worth. The emotionally absent partner. You cannot dance alone in a two-person song. The Buddha taught the importance of Sangha, a spiritual community. And in intimate relationships, your partner becomes your first Sangha. If they are emotionally unavailable, indifferent, or perpetually dismissive, then they are no longer in union with you, they are in parallel existence. When one gives and the other withholds, the connection suffers, but deeper than that, emotional absence means one has stopped believing in the bond. And if one has departed inwardly, no external affection can substitute for that void. Zen warns us not to deceive ourselves with the outer image of connection while the soul is starving. When someone stops participating emotionally, it is not always out of cruelty, it is often unconscious. But the effect is the same, erosion of the sacred ground of love. So ask yourself, am I the only one still watering this garden? If the answer is yes, it is not disloyalty to let go. It is self-respect. The peace of letting go. The final sign that it's over is not pain, it's peace. Many believe the end must come in fire. That there must be tears, screaming, or catastrophe. But often, the most profound endings come with a deep, still silence. A quiet knowing that the path has reached its natural conclusion, when you no longer fantasize, no longer fight, no longer plead. When you look at them and feel nothing but stillness, you have reached the gate of liberation. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. And when you stop clinging, even endings feel like beginnings. This peace is not numbness. It is acceptance. It is the moment you are no longer chained by hope or memory. It is the sacred doorway where suffering ends and freedom begins. Do not fear this peace. Do not mistake it for indifference. It is grace. It is the reward of awareness. Ask yourself, if I walk away today, will my soul feel lighter or heavier? If it feels lighter, then you are not losing love. You are shedding illusion. Impermanence is not punishment. To say you were not meant to be together is not a curse. It is not a judgment. It is the unfolding of karma. All beings meet for a reason. Some are meant to teach love. Others, to teach detachment. But all are mirrors. You were not abandoned. You were redirected. You were not unloved. You were unaligned, In Zen, impermanence is sacred. What ends does not die, it transforms. So let it go. Let them go. Let yourself go, and remember, if it causes more anxiety than joy, it's not your path. If you constantly question it, the answer may already be clear. If your soul feels drained, it is time to choose light, walk on. Not in anger. Not in blame. But in awareness, because when you accept that you were not meant to be together, you open the door to becoming whole with yourself, and that is the true love you were always seeking. Thanks for watching. Hope enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Just click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. Also, feel free to leave a comment and let me know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next video.